This is Universal Parenting Clinic, your show, our show, your happiness, our excitement. Thank you for joining in today. God bless you.
Welcome to this week's edition of Universal Parenting Clinic. On this show today, I'll be discussing why it is important to set boundaries in parenting. Set necessary boundaries in specific areas for your child so he or she knows and is aware of the consequences of actions or inactions within the parameters of those boundaries. And also, that will enable the child to know what to do and what not to do. Lots of children merely drift along in life without having specific demarcation line and guide of scope in their actions, movements, behaviors, relationships, and several areas in life. Most times, it is when there has been serious negative consequences or incidents that most parents resort to disciplinary measures or sanctions. At times, it is believed that the child should know reasonable boundaries and actions too. This may be true to a certain extent, depending on maturity, age, and exposure, but not in all cases. And sometimes, other external and selfish factors operate to push children beyond acceptable limits, especially where there has been no specific line drawn on scope, range, limitation, and consequences. Let your child know the set rules and policies, expectations, and set standards, though there may be reasons for occasional variations and flexibilities too. Most times too, define set disciplinary actions that may follow certain violations and define set boundaries too in clear terms. As such, there is no feeling of unfairness or injustice. There may be variations to disciplinary actions to suit purposes, but at least your child knows why he or she is being punished. Communication also comes to play here too. Don't just punish a child and leave him in total darkness as to why, because apart from the feeling of injustice, you are not allowing the child to learn not to do or repeat the same offense for which that child has been punished. On many occasions, after the early years, from around 7 years upward, I knew mostly what my dad expected in several situations and what my mom expected in certain specific circumstances. They didn't need to speak much at that stage. All they needed was to look at me in certain ways, and I knew from experience that they didn't approve of certain actions, or that my father expected me to raise certain standards, or my mom expected better performance from me. Setting the boundaries give a child the knowledge of your expectations and desires on specific issues. It enables that child the opportunity to work within the set boundaries and to aim to achieve set goals too. If, for instance, you told your child at the beginning of his or her school that you are expecting him or her to work towards A in all subjects, but that the least desirable result will be an A in 5 subjects and B in 2, and all A's, his chances of gaining admission in his preferred course of study and his favorite university will be guaranteed. Such a child will most likely be committed to the achievement of such goals, unlike a child that is left with no parameter for success.
This is Universal Parenting Clinic, your show, our show, your happiness, our excitement. Thank you for joining in today. God bless you.
Though it may sound awkward, but I know a parent that told his children that none of them should expect him to organize or attend their wedding or approve of same until after their graduation from the university and they've started working. None of the children failed to comply. They all knew the expectation and the standard, My parents told us the least any one of us should think in academic pursuit should be first degree, and we all achieved that. When there is ignorance, many times the people drift into failure. Let the vision be clear and well understood. Though sometimes, as you will understand from the topic of flexibility, there may be need for review and flexibility when needed and when reasonable. Setting boundaries will help to motivate and give sense of direction. It demarcates specifications between the ups. It creates in a child the elastic limits of what is acceptable standard and what is forbidden, such that you are as clear as the child on the responsibilities, expectations, punishments, rewards, and entitlements. Even in their relationship with friends, they must have boundaries. My wife told me something the first day we met, which I never forgot. Which we were sharing our past lives, involvements, and experiences, secrets, and general stuff. She said, when I get involved with anyone, I try to define the relationship. Yes, I told her that tallies with my principle too. Where are we heading? And why are we in this relationship? Are we friends, companions, business associates, or lovers? Are we in this for sex or for intimacy? Are we heading to the altar of marital bliss? Clear and clarify all ambiguities. Make it plain. Where are you going into any relationship? What are the limits and what are the expectations? What is the no-go area? What are the restrictions? Yes, each relationship must be defined and reasonable boundaries must be set around specific relationships. You need to do that as a parent too. Relationship with colleagues must be well defined and certain boundaries be set. Otherwise, it won't be strange if you become bedfellows with casual, illicit sex escapades with those who should be mere working colleagues or friends to your spouse. Casual friends, business partners, and associates each have their boundaries. Your relationship with your spouse has its special areas which distinguishes it from your relationship and friendship with the opposite sex, and where you set boundaries and indicators to show a friend is crossing the boundaries, the alert or alarm bell will ring and you know the best step to take. So, you should draw boundary lines for your child. The warnings on stranger danger, associates, and so on. Set reasonable boundaries at occasions when you realize the need to so act, especially as your child grows, because some boundaries are age related. It could be as simple as setting boundaries on dress code, what is permissible and what is forbidden. Your child doesn't have to wear skimpy revealing dress or rags at the age of 10 or any age for that matter, if you as a parent don't see any sense in it, simply because his or her mates wear same. Once you groom your child on the right direction, he or she will most likely be well guided by the set boundaries. That's why certain boundaries must be set early, because a child who has been allowed and permitted to enjoy certain unacceptable practices or standards may find it challenging and difficult adjusting himself or herself to new set boundaries if he or she has already become so addicted to the other extreme cases. However, regardless of how addicted or how far gone, you can still set acceptable boundaries for that child, even from now. Set boundaries on friendship. Set boundaries on consumption and eating habits. Set boundaries of sleeping time. Set boundaries on goals. Set boundaries on outgoings. Set boundaries on play. Set boundaries on drinks. Set boundaries on social media activities. Set boundaries around behavioral patterns. Set moral boundaries. Set boundaries around holiness. Set boundaries on disciplinary measures. Set boundaries on acceptable standard and decorum. Set immediate boundaries. Set long-term boundaries. Set professional boundaries. Set academic boundaries. Set domestic boundaries. Set parenting boundaries for yourself too. Set limits for your parenting actions and reactions. Set reasonable boundaries for life expectations. Set economic and financial boundaries. What he can spend, what he shouldn't spend money on. Set boundaries on how far you can go so that you don't just face certain inconveniences that are avoidable. You should realize this fact, however, that just as in disciplinary actions, a child is like a fresh egg or a newly hatched egg which you hold in your palm. The life, survival, or death of the embryo lies in your hand. If you clench your fist and palm, you can crush it. But if you softly handle it with care, it will live. Whatever measures you adopt, don't crush the child's way by extreme and unrealistic boundaries. Don't snub the child's way. Don't push him to breaking point. And don't destroy the child's spirit. You ought to be aware too that too many boundaries may lead to total lockdown. Don't attempt total shutdown or lockdown, because this may have its consequences too, which you will see on other topics on this show. All you are doing is creating fence of protection, safety, and decorum with reasonable openings and options for reasonable entries and exits. The boundaries are meant to support, reform, assist, educate, and inform, not to destroy. Set boundaries with wisdom and with the success of the child at heart. Set boundaries with love and make the boundaries highly reasonable and fair. Do occasional re-evaluation and assessment too. With changing circumstances and environments, there will always be reasons for possible flexibility for adjustments too. Please, at all times, be well guided in your choice of boundaries. Thanks to our numerous friends on Facebook who watches our show passionately every week. Thanks also to those who have subscribed to our YouTube channel freely. Thanks to those who have bought their copy of the book, Parenting Without Tears. I also thank those who regularly presses the thumb up button and those who always ensure they put comments after watching our YouTube show and those who always send feedbacks to us regularly too. I do hope sincerely that you too will join this group of blessed people today. Please subscribe now, press that button, and follow us too on all other social media platforms. That's the show this week on Universal Parenting Clinic. I believe strongly that through this Universal Parenting Clinic and with proper understanding of the book, Parenting Without Tears, together, we all can promote wellness in families and in the world. We can stop the tears from children, parents, and families. We can kick racism, fraud, instability, corruption, wickedness, several addictions, violence, and the series of antisocial behaviors out of all families and the whole world. And at the same time, we can promote all the positive desires and aspirations towards the well-being of the children, parents, and the world at large. Till I come your way again next week, by God's grace, I am the parenting advocate in the house, Michael Gbenga Bibilari, MGB, Mr. Parenting. Set and maintain reasonable boundaries in parenting. Think parenting. Be positive in parenting. Talk parenting. Be passionate about parenting. Don't just be a parent. Stop functioning. Be a responsible parent. A real parent. Parent well.